Hello, welcome to the LaRouche PAC Weekly Report for December the 21st, 2011. I'm John Hofle, and with me in the studio today are Peter Martinson of the Basement, Sky Shields of the Basement, and Lyndon LaRouche.
And this entire period is dominated by what we call the oligarchical system. The oligarchical system is the controlling factor in all modern civilization, even medieval and early ancient civilization. So when you're talking about control, you have to say, okay, man has the choice. Mankind has the choice. Does mankind have the capability of making the kind of choice we're talking about implicitly? It's not, what's the significance of Obama? Obama is nothing. He's an absolute piece of trash. There's no content to him of any significance. He's only a tool of the British Empire in its true form. And he's a throwaway for them. They don't give a damn about him. They're just using him. He's a useless trash, piece of trash is what he is. Essentially, nothing else but that. But the point is, therefore, as long as the oligarchical system dominates the planet, the oligarchical system's very nature demands that it block creativity.
Right. Right.
And that's what it means now. For example, take the case of the British monarchy. The British monarchy, which is the controlling political force on this planet today, because the United States, under this government, is nothing. Under the past two presidencies, nothing. We had a reprieve there with Clinton for a while, but he did not have the ability or the inclination to go to the challenge, the kind of challenges I would make, of actually breaking down this oligarchical system, and getting to what the intention of the U.S. Constitution was, which is no one has dared to really maintain since the death of Kennedy. There has been no actual thrust of effort in the United States to reverse the oligarchical tendency which was unleashed by the assassination of Kennedy through this damn war. So we have a population whose tendency is green. Green people cannot survive this situation. Nations which are green mean mass death of people and probably the extinction of the human species. Because as another part of the weather thing, we're going into a galactic change in the trends of weather, and during the past year, notably, we've already experienced some of those trends in a significant degree as weather manifestations. But you look more deeply and look at some of the galactic features which are causing this shift or controlling this shift. You see, mankind is in risk of extinction because we're going into an area of the galaxy where humanity is dwelling. We're going to an area where the likelihood of the ability of mankind to survive these conditions without scientific and technological progress. With scientific and technological progress properly directed, we can probably create the survival of the human species. But under the oligarchical trend in policy, we cannot. And we're now getting a pre-taste of a movement of the whole solar system into a direction in which that condition exists. So now, the fundamental issue on this planet is getting rid of the oligarchical system. If you don't get rid of the oligarchical system, we're finished. And probably we're on the road to extinction. Therefore, that means you have to eliminate, in particular, the only empire of significance which has existed on this planet since the founding of the Roman Empire. That empire today is the British Empire. And anyone who doesn't believe that it has to be some kind of an idiot, a non-compass of some kind. Because it is the British Empire which controls a major part of the planet, especially the transatlantic region. Presently, with the rise of China and the resurgence of some vitality in Russia and some other things in Asia, there is a challenge to the British Empire. It has not manifested itself as an assertive challenge, but it could. If the United States allies itself with, go back one step, Europe doesn't mean anything anymore. What happened is with various series, when the British Empire, under Margaret Thatcher, demanded that the nations of Western and Central Europe capitulate to be merely puppets of the British Empire, which is what the agreement was, you have had a destruction of the nations of Western and Central Europe to such a degree that today the nations of continental Western and Central Europe no longer have any real sovereignty. They don't have nationhood in a real sense anymore. It's been taken away from them. They might get it back, but at the present moment, they don't have it, and they're losing it rapidly. We're on the base of a general breakdown crisis. Now, this is all orchestrated by the British Empire. They control Western and Central Europe and have great influence in other parts of the world, more or less great. They control Africa totally. The British Empire owns every inch of Africa, and are responsible for all the rates of death in Africa and similar kinds of afflictions, including insurrections and whatnot. So we're coming into a period where the transatlantic region, as long as the United States is controlled, as it is now, by the British through Obama and what Obama typifies, and the Bushes. The Bushes are Bush League crowd. No, it's really, this is the most disgusting thing we've ever had. Is you have the Bush, Prescott Bush, who was the man who financed Hitler's career. Hitler had lost his career, and Prescott Bush got it back for him. Prescott Bush was part of a British operation, British control, London, New York kind of operation. And he was the one who actually put Hitler in that position, funded. But he did it under British orders because the Bushes are British agents. They're not patriots. They're not capable of patriotism. They're instinctively incapable of patriotism. All right, so you have trash like this, the oligarchical trash, the Wall Street and Boston barman crowd, absolute trash. So they are traitors sent, in effect, to the United States. They always have been. You know, Benjamin Franklin knew that. He said we ought to put them on a boat and ship them off to England right away. We don't want them here anymore. But somebody let them stay, and that was a big mistake. So we have temporarily lost our sovereignty. We're merely puppets of a British agent, an Obama, a terrorist with no mental credentials whatsoever. So therefore, under these conditions, there is no present hope for the survival of civilization unless there's a change. The one change that would do it, all would have to happen is take this animal, this Obama, remove him from office, and he is clinically insane, and therefore under Section 4 of the 25th Amendment, he could be outgone tomorrow. He also has committed offenses against the Constitution, which divide his expulsion. If we get him out of there and get an actual patriot in there instead, then the British no longer will be able to organize the kind of world war, the thermonuclear war, that they intend to create. Look at this other factor here to consider. Look at the rate of inflation since actually 2007, but became obvious in 2008. The hyperinflation which was launched at that time has dominated the transatlantic region entirely since that time. We're now at the point of a general breakdown crisis. We have a rate of inflation which is eternal. Unless we were to take the Glass-Steagall law and apply it in the United States in particular, but also Europe, if we were to do that, then we could survive. As long as we do not repeal this kind of proposition, we're in a hopeless situation. There's no chance of growing. The British, in the meantime, have committed themselves to two things. First of all, a reduction of the world's population from 7 billion people to 1. And that's a rapidly intended. And it's feasible if you launch a new world war. A new world war under present conditions would be a ripeness of the world for a mass extinction effect quickly throughout the world. The British intend that. Now, this has two aspects to it. First of all, it is their intention. The British royal family and its whole crowd has all itself committed to the green solution. The green solution means reducing the world's population quickly to 1 billion people or less from 7 now. The preconditions for that exist. Under those conditions, we're looking at the potential extinction of mankind. So therefore, our job is to break the British Empire. And we can do that gradually. Because if the United States pulls out from being an agent of the British Empire under Obama and Obama's types, then we get back our independence. If we get back our independence, since we, the United States, control the world's most important resource in thermonuclear weapons. Russia has more thermonuclear weapons in total than we do, but they have the crucial delivery capability right now. If the United States is no longer working as an ally of the British against what we represent as the United States, then this world war that's planned now is off. They can't pull it off. The one thing that's in the way, the one thing that threatens the existence of the United States and its people the most right now is the continued presence of Obama as president. No, we put him in a cage someplace safely, take care of him. Nothing must happen to him. No one must touch a hair of his head. But no one should listen to a word of his voice. Let's put him away someplace where he's being taken care of. He'll probably live to a ripe old age, and it may smell that way. But that's our problem. So that's where we stand. If we throw Obama out of office now, and that's the one thing we must do in the immediate future. If we don't, we're in danger of thermonuclear war. And thermonuclear war, in terms of combined with the weapon system, but the effects of the use of the weapon system would mean a large extinction, a large degree of extinction, and probably would set off a chain reaction of effects, which would be an extinction. And so that's the determination of our policy now. And you have to realize how stupid people are, what lack of courage, what lack of intelligence is shown by leading members of our Congress and so forth. The gutlessness of leading politicians who know better, but don't have the guts to risk challenging these characters. Mm-hmm. And that's where we stand, and that's our weather system. Because the characteristic of the oligarchical system is it must keep the mass of people stupid and not too numerous. That has always been the policy of the oligarchical system. Always. It's the system, the British system is typical today. The British system is like India, mass extinctions, mass killings. China, mass killings, British policy. Africa, mass killings regularly, continually. And therefore, the point is the British Empire has to be eliminated. It's easy to eliminate it. It's now hopelessly bankrupt unless it can get control of the world and get a completely new system and just cancel the old money debt. That's all it can do.
Which is beautiful. That puts a beautiful lie to this whole line that you keep getting. Well, what do we replace Obama with? You're not talking about just shifting a chess piece here. You're talking about changing a whole system.
That's just silly people listening to and repeating silly things they're hearing.
Right.
It doesn't mean a damn thing. They don't know what they're talking about.
No, whereas the process underneath is what you're really acting on.
The problem essentially is we don't have people in government who are actually qualified to be leaders. They are followers. And they're like some animal following a dung cart, you know. They're just following. I believe in my leader. And all the leadership they've been getting has been destroying them over all these years, ever since Kennedy was assassinated. We've been going down and down in greater consent to the British Empire. What happened was that the Kennedy, who was, in a sense, the new Franklin Roosevelt, essentially, that his personal commitment, that the killing of Kennedy and plunging the nation into a war in Indochina set into motion the destruction of the United States. The very fact that those who killed Kennedy, who assassinated him, who are the New York, Boston, London crowd, they killed him. It was not some little twerp down in Texas. He was killed by an international team which was sent from Europe through Mexico to get into Texas. And that's how he was killed. And these guys were gone back across the border before anybody sneezed and discovered where they'd gone to. And it was a nice little neat cover-up by people who knew what they had done. Right? So it was a treasonous act against the United States, neatly covered up. And we were destroyed by a process which led through a dozen years, actually, in effect, of the war in Indochina, its after effects. And we never recovered from that. We got the administration of Carter. Carter was a farce. But it was a useful farce because he allowed things to happen under his stupid administration, which contributed to our destruction. And then right after after that, you got into the question where the Bush family came back in again. And they'd always been there. There was always a commitment for Bush to succeed. And that was so that's where we are. We have lost our sovereignty in a real sense. We've watched our people thrown into destitution unnecessarily, increasingly. We've lost our honor, and we voted for a fake, a jerk, who didn't actually win the election in terms of honest counting of votes and arrangements. Not at all. It was a British fraud. And we are now on the verge of being destroyed. And the galactic situation is not promising in terms of we're going to stay with a low level of technology. We're in trouble, very serious trouble. So therefore, it's a matter of, right now, it's the immediate duty of anyone who deserves the name of patriot to get this guy thrown safely out of office, stop this warfare, and get back to real American policies. Because the policy of the oligarchy, if it controls the planet, is exactly what the British say. A green policy, which means mankind is condemned to an early death, is extinction, in effect. But they don't care.